Welcome to the Living Superhuman Fitness Podcast, where we take you inside our gym, CrossFit Palm Beach, each week. It's here that we are creating new superhumans every day, transforming people's lives, helping them reach a level of health they never knew possible. We strive to answer your most burning questions on fitness, health, nutrition, training, motivation, mindset, lifestyle, and more. If you have a question, please email us at info@crossfitpalmbeach.com. You can also learn more on our blog, livingsuperhuman.com. And if you have a moment, we'd love a review from you on iTunes. All right, it's time. Let's stop being average and start living superhuman. Hey guys, welcome to the Living Superhuman Fitness Podcast. My name is Andrew Frezza, and today we're going to be talking about how to eat healthy and still have a social life. And I'm joined today by
Danielle,
Tony,
and Muggs.
And we got a couple of questions to answer. This is from our CFPB nutrition group, which if you guys aren't a part of that, you should get on that. But a lot of people are trying to figure out as they start to eat healthier and they start to see results, like they want to keep it going, but then they feel like eating healthy and having friends and having a social life are at odds with each other, and trying to figure out how to balance those out, how to stay on track when everyone around you isn't, and then how do you, if you do want to stay on track, how do you politely eat and drink healthy in front of other people, and what's the courteous way to say no, or maybe even also to figure out when it is a good time to splurge a little bit and have the thing you want, or have a couple things you want, and maybe throw a little bit more caution to the wind in that sense. Like, how do you balance those out? All right, so we're going to talk about all those things. So Tony, if you want to start us off, like, is it possible? Can we possibly balance this?
I'd like to think so. I mean, people watching this are probably like, no, my coaches are boring. Like, they don't go out anyways. Like, what do they know about having a social life? But I think like there is an in-between. Like, there is a halfway point, you know, so it's not like an all or nothing thing where like you have to pick, you know, do I want to eat healthy, or do I want to have friends? Like, there is both, and like you can make friends at a healthy place, CrossFit, hello, but you don't have to pick, you know, those two things shouldn't be at odds. You should be able to have a social life and enjoy healthy meals with the people you love. And we will talk about it, but it's kind of like, what kind of circle are you in, you know, to either feel alienated by the food choices you make or don't make.
Cool. Well, let's talk about, like, I guess we can start with really some like specific strategies. Like, I mean, we're in the holiday season right now. There's a lot of parties going on. You know, what are some strategies you guys have for approaching these things of eating healthy, and how do you decide, you know, if you are staying on track versus like if you are going to let yourself have something or have a lot of something that night?
I came up with a trick for like a party or a gathering or like a holiday party where we have a whole spread of food out and everything just looks amazing. Instead of either just grabbing a napkin and kind of hanging out and grabbing, set yourself a plate, know what you have, it's out in front of you, give yourself a little treat of this, that, and the other, but it also keeps you accountable for exactly what you're eating, because it's really easy to just kind of get distracted and keep doing this, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, how much have I actually eaten? So kind of lay it out, present it to yourself, give yourself that treat, and then walk away.
I think that's key. Whenever like I'm grazing, it's just bad.
It's impressive how big our stomachs are when we were just grazing. Mm-hmm. But kind of like what Mugg said, like just planning ahead of time, like the holiday party next Saturday, or like tomorrow having our like sip and shop event, like more than likely you know that you have these events coming up or these social situations coming up, and it's like you can plan for that. Like, okay, at 7 p.m. next Saturday, we're going out to dinner, and I want to be able to have some flexibility, to have that glass of wine, to eat, you know, freely and not feel horrible about it. So that whole week, you know, okay, I'm going to be on my A game, and then that way when Saturday comes, I can eat this and not feel bad, and then Sunday I'll get right back to it. But that kind of like, at least for me, gives me the accountability to be like, okay, when Tuesday comes and I'm starving because I didn't prepare my lunch, like I'm not just gonna go somewhere and grab like a quick bite because then that's gonna take away my Saturday freedom. Like I want to have that, so I'm gonna stay on track for the whole week, just specifically so I can stay on track. So kind of like planning that out ahead of time like really helps me, and then it's like I don't get cranky or angry when Tuesday is here and I can't go out to lunch or whatever.
And that's where tracking becomes really beneficial and really important. Is like, you know, if you know you're gonna sip and shop, hey, I want to have a glass of wine there. I want to have a beer while we're hanging out. Like I'm not gonna have food there. I'm just gonna have those things. You can build that right into your day and into your macros, and know that, hey, I'm gonna eat a little bit more vegetables, a little bit, you know, less carbs earlier in the day. And like, is that the perfect day that you want to do 7 days a week? No, but like if you're doing that 2-3 days a week and you're fitting stuff in, like you're going to be perfectly fine. You're going to still reach your goals by having that accountability and making things work and making things fit.
Yeah, and it's not just like throwing it all away Saturday morning because you're like, well, I'm going to the sip and shop and having a beer later. Like, start with something good. You know, that's what we're saying is like kind of plan some good stuff into your day so you can enjoy a little bit of the bad stuff later. And then when it comes to time going to that party, like don't go completely hungry. You know, have something in your system that's healthy. Then when you show up, you won't want to eat the whole table. And yeah, you know, like kind of have a plan there. Like one of the things I'll do like at a party is like when I eat, I don't drink. And this is something that I've taken to like restaurants and everything, is like when I'm eating and I'm trying to enjoy the food, I'll just have water or maybe sparkling water with it. And then kind of after the meal, and that's when you start to introduce an alcoholic drink or 3.
Right. You can certainly do a lot more damage if you're doing both. Like you're having, and you're going to eat worse because you're drinking. You're going to drink, you know, your drinking decisions are going to go downhill. And I think that's a really good rule of thumb for 99% of the times you go out. It's like you can either eat unhealthy or drink unhealthy, but try not to do both. We were actually hanging out with some friends, and one of my friends is really good at making grilled cheese. So she was making us all these like gourmet grilled cheese. And the next day I was like in bad shape, and they all like noticed it. And I was like we're talking about getting old and that whole thing. And I was like, honestly, I'm okay if I just drink. I'm okay if I just eat bad. But when I do both, it's bad. And I think calorie-wise, goal-wise, you can do a lot of damage that way. So I think it's just a good rule of thumb to pick one or the other.
And you kind of,
I was gonna say, you chime in with the eating and drinking together.
Well, I don't drink at all, but I do know that, like when I was in college and stuff, and my friends and I would like go to bars, they're all like ready to move on to the next bar after a couple drinks, and I'm like, no, like where are we gonna go get food? Like what is this? I don't want to go to another bar. I want to go to like some restaurant and get nachos. That was all I cared about. But something that you touched on earlier about like going out to dinner or whatever, and like having that flexibility. One thing that helped for me, like when I really struggled and was like trying to find my balance of like being too restrictive, that like all or nothing mindset to where I'm either like 100% or I'm 0%, is like transitioning to finding that balance. The first like step for me was going out to dinner, like as opposed to going out to breakfast, which is like my favorite meal. If I were to cheat, I want to go get pancakes. Like that's what I love to eat. And so like my first initial step for a cheat meal was to be like, no, we're going to dinner. We're not going anywhere for dessert after. You're going to go out to dinner, enjoy yourself, and then that's going to be it. Tomorrow's a new day and you're going to be perfect. And then like as I progress, now I can go out to breakfast and like have like a cheatier meal or whatever, and then still have a salad for lunch and cauliflower for dinner or whatever it's gonna be, but like not completely go off the rails and get as much junk food in as I can in the rest of that like 24-hour span. So that was, you made me think of it. Dinner's a good gateway.
Yeah, I agree. If I start the day bad, it's getting worse.
The whole day goes.
It's really hard
cheat
to
meal,
get right back.
not cheat day.
Yeah, big difference.
So now you're at these gatherings, and let's say you go in with a really good plan, and let's say like holiday season especially, like you might have 3 or 4 get-togethers in a week, and like let's say you go in and you're like, I'm gonna be really strict, like I'm gonna stick to my plan. I've eaten in advance. I've actually brought a dish that I'm gonna have. Like, there's obstacles that come with it, saying no, feeling bad about not being able to eat people's stuff, just the willpower and discipline that goes into saying no. It's like part of it's managing yourself, and then part of it's managing other people. So what are some things that you guys have found for navigating that?
I think the first thing to remember is quantity matters. Like, everything in moderation a little bit, so if someone offers you like their signature cake that they make every single year, like have a piece, like, and you really enjoy it, like have a little piece, like you don't have to have a huge piece. And then when it comes to drinks, like don't just have that 5th and 6th and 7th drink saying like I've already started, just cut yourself off. Like it could mean actually making it to CrossFit in the morning,
Yeah. One thing I've learned that, because I feel like I've been on a diet for like my whole life, so I'm always eating weird, or I'm always eating different than other people. I don't think it's that different, right? And then I go to eat with other people and they think it's really weird. But flipping it in your mind of, a lot of times we take offense to questions from people as if they're questioning us and they have a negative tone. I think we project that on other people. And what I've learned after doing this for a while is there's been times where I thought someone was questioning me, and then come to find out months or years later, I've actually inspired them to make changes and make improvements. And I think it's something that we can flip in our heads, is that people are not questioning, they're actually curious. They actually might be inspired or motivated by what you're doing, even though in their tone in the moment may not sound like it. And that by you showing very disciplined decisions, you can actually help inspire others to create like that positive change for themselves.
Yeah. Also, when they see you lose 20 pounds over 4 months, it's like, whoa, like what you were doing was working. Like, give me some of that now.
Yeah, the results can definitely squash some of that.
Yeah.
I've done, like a couple where I've gotten really strict, or like the paleo challenge back in the day and things like that. And, you're always going to have your friends that will just say, they're going to nag you or whatever. Like, oh, why are you doing this, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, well, it's for myself. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to feel bad for what you're doing. And then like, if you you have the willpower and you want to go out, like there was a time that I just because I was like, I'm not going to drink for 30 days. And it wasn't a food thing or anything. I was just like, I'm just not going to drink alcohol. And then at first I was like, well, I'm never going to be able to go out. And then I was like, no, I can go out. I just am not going to drink. Like, and you can put yourself in a social setting and not do it, and you're going to get the little comments and whatever, like, oh, blah, blah, blah. But it's like at the end of the night, like you're going to go home, you're going to feel great, you're going to go to bed early, you're going to get up and work out the next morning, and you're doing it for yourself. So you don't have to justify anything. They'll make the comments, but like after they realize you're sticking to it, they'll leave you alone. So it's just kind of like, you just got to dig deep. And if you want to go out and hang out with your friends that maybe do drink or whatever, and you're not going to, you just let them make their first couple cackles and then call it an evening. And then the next couple days later, when you hang out with them again, they're not going to say anything, because they're going to go, oh, you still okay, all right, and then they leave you alone. They just got to like get it out of their system. So
that was kind of like a big thing with my family, like with holidays and stuff. They're like throwing pie in my face and doing all this stuff, and I'm
Literally
like,
throwing pie in your face.
Literally. But I'm like, I don't even like pie. I'm not gonna eat your pie. Like, I brought a pint of Halo Top. I'm gonna eat that, enjoy it, and like not be completely off the rails. And it's just like having that like simple conversation, like, I really want to do this. I want to get fitter. I'm trying to lose a couple pounds and whatever. Just having that like simple conversation too makes it a whole lot easier, and kind of will like help you stop getting the pressure of like eating the sweets or eating whatever it may be too.
Yeah, I saw this, I think it was on a Working Against Gravity post about like always trying to recruit a friend who's on your side, like someone who's also going to be at the party. Like maybe you're in a relationship, it's your spouse, and they know what your plan is and they're supportive of it, and they're helping to kind of do some of the communication for you. Maybe you're going to your mother-in-law's house and they already say in advance, like, this is what we're going to eat and not eat. Don't worry about making this. We're not going to eat that thing. But if you really want to make that, we'll have a little bit of that. Like, so you're setting expectations in advance, and having recruiting. It could be a friend at another event if it's just friends, to say like, hey, I'm going to eat this way. If you could really help keep me on track, that would be huge. And then they feel like they're part of the team instead of, again, another person against you in that. So I think it's a really cool approach to it.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, that's huge to get someone on your side. And if you like look at all your network and your circles of friends and you can't find anyone that's going to join you in this journey that's going to better your health and ultimately make you really happy, then it might be time to look for outside of that network for like some new friends that will really support you.
Yes, that's definitely something I wanted to touch on in this podcast. We mentioned it in our podcast about the 5 people that you surround yourself most with and how that influences you. And as Tony's saying, if you're constantly bombarded with this, if your circle of friends, the only way they know how to have fun is it involves drinking or eating poorly, like that's the idea of fun, and you've never had times where that's not the case, like how good of friends are you really? Like you've really just set an expectation where you guys just will always drink together and that's your idea of fun. So, I think that there's plenty of people in this gym that you can create relationships, and it doesn't have to be like a firm, like, hey, we can't be friends again because I'm eating healthy now and I've changed my life. It just, you make a decision one time like, hey, I'm not gonna go out that night. And, or you set it up in advance where you schedule something else. Like you schedule, a date night with your significant other rather than I'm gonna go out to this party. And you're gonna have more control with that person. You're gonna be able to connect better without having the external stuff. Let's talk about restaurant stuff a little bit, because that's kind of a big one. Muggs has worked in a couple different restaurants, and there's definitely, it's hard to eat healthy, right, Muggs? Like there's a lot of things that people miss from just the outside when you look at a menu or see stuff like a salad, right?
Yeah, definitely. There's a ton of things that like you wouldn't think about because you're like, oh, well, I'm making the healthy options or, the healthy choices. And there's, first and foremost, I wrote a few things down. Don't be afraid to ask your server or bartender questions about what you're consuming, whether it's your drink or your food, what's in it. We know, number one, that there's allergies everywhere now. So like that's what people inquire. So you should, if you're a good server, you should know the ingredients or be able to at least go ask the question to, somebody in the kitchen to help somebody out for an allergy. So it would be the same thing if like you're trying to eat healthy, like is there this or that in this, ingredients inside of something, or how is it cooked? What is it cooked in? Things like that. So don't be afraid to ask, just in general, any kind of questions. A couple of things that I wrote down, like salads. So, okay, I'm eating a salad, I'm being healthy. Well, first, dressing. If a salad comes dressed, most likely it's gonna be way more than anything you would control or put, 2 tablespoons or whatnot, if you were gonna measure it at home. So always ask for dressing on the side. That's just the easiest fix right there, because sometimes they'll pour you like a big 4-ounce side container of dressing and you're like, wow, is that what they put on it? Or is that just what they brought to you? You never really know. So that is the biggest thing. But another thing that are like deceiving items, if there's like fruits, dried fruits, nuts, things like that on salads, you're used to like a tablespoon or whatever, and they just dump it all over it. And then you turn what you thought was something healthy into something super carby or fattening or sugary or things like that. So those are definitely things to kind of think about and ask questions. Or if you're not sure how much comes on it, just ask for it on the side, and then you can kind of control what goes on it if you want, those things on it. But the 2 biggest things that I have that are, don't get mad at me, places that I've worked at or work at, that are things that like make the food so delicious. You go out to eat and you're like, why is this so good? I make this at home and it doesn't taste as good. And I'm about to blow some minds if you've never been in the industry. What your food is cooked in. Why is I'm gonna throw a name out there, the steamed mixed veggies at Longhorn Steakhouse so delicious? It's steamed mixed vegetables because they dump a butter substitute with seasoning into the steam bag, and it's a ton. It's not like a tablespoon, it's like multiple, and they steam your veggies. So yeah, they taste delicious and you're eating healthy vegetables, but they have now been drowned in not only a not so great product, but a very unhealthy product.
Yeah.
So quantity and quality is just gone there. So you can say dry steamed, no, butter, or ask like what they put on their vegetables. But then also things, sauces. So I know where I work right now, you can get any kind of like fish and things with like a topping with a sauce. A lot of those sauces, if they taste that good and they're creamy, they're gonna be like a mayonnaise based, which you're just adding a couple tablespoons of fat over the top of your food. Yes, they taste good, but if you ask for it on the side, you can put a little on there, kind of portion it instead of a huge giant ladle full of fat over your food. And also what they're cooking your protein in. And this is something that I'm probably gonna get shamed for sharing, but there is a substance called whirl that most restaurants use because if it's a busy, big restaurant, they go through a ton of it and it's way cheaper. It is I think they call it a butter substitute, but they just drown the grills in this substance that is just fat. It's just not good for you. And even when you think you're eating like just a grilled chicken breast, they could have just doused it in this, and they keep flipping it, and it keeps the grill nice and greasy so the food doesn't stick and it comes out looking pretty. But then you've now turned your grilled chicken and vegetables into grilled chicken and vegetables and a bunch of fat. Mm-hmm. So just things like that, you can ask, can you dry cook it? Can you bake it? Or if they have the options, or no sauce on the side, things like that. That will definitely save you a ton of calories when going out.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than like going out, making these tough decisions, what feel like really tough decisions, avoiding the thing you really wanted, and then it still ends up being just as bad or worse than what you were gonna do instead. And I think that's where quantities matter regardless. You gotta keep those in check. But yeah, don't be afraid to ask questions. And then I think certain restaurants too, like you can tend to find better options out there that just are maybe more open about what they cook stuff in, or like steamed actually means steamed versus steamed in a ton of butter. So
yeah, and I think you should, like Mug said, be comfortable with asking questions. Don't be afraid to, sound weird in front of your friends, or the waiter and waitress, they're there to serve you. So it's their job to answer any questions you might have. So ask them, ask them if it has gluten in it, You're not that much of a weirdo.
Like you have an allergy.
Hey, you can
That
always
makes you
pretend.
feel better.
Yeah, no, you can totally, I was gonna say, fake it to make it, like pretend like you're allergic to everything and be like, is there dairy in this, is there that? And then you can literally get it without it.
Be like, sorry, I'm gonna get so sick, and then they'll take you really seriously and make sure they find out the right answers.
Yeah. No, never feel bad for asking.
cool. So what are some things that you guys like to bring to parties? Like if you're going to a party and you want to have something guaranteed healthy dish, like what are your go-tos?
I love dips because you can make any of them unhealthy, but you can always replace like buffalo chicken dip is one of my favorites. You can replace like all the bad creamy ingredients with like Greek yogurt and stuff like that to make it way healthier, and chances are like people aren't even going to notice. So like I'll do that, or even Greek yogurt and a ranch seasoning packet or something like that, and make a ranch dip, and it still tastes so good, and I can eat it with veggies. Like I know what I'm putting in my body, but I could also bring chips or yummier things for people who don't want to eat as healthy. So that's kind of my go-to for all the parties I go to.
That's like something that could be the most unhealthiest thing there,
Mm-hmm.
Like a dip at a party,
Mm-hmm.
But if you brought your own and you made it with good ingredients, then it could be one of the healthiest things. Shannon, I asked her this question because she is the cook in the house, and she's like, well, make sure you give a shout out to Kite Hill dairy-free cream cheese, plain or with chives. Ooh. And she said that is something she loves to use in spreads and stuff. She does like salmon and cucumbers and stuff with that. And also just using like the Frank's Red Hot sauce and the Primal mayos. Like there's so many good options out there from what used to be out there when it comes to making these things.
One of the things that I've really enjoyed, it's super easy, anything in like a crock pot. I think in general with parties, there's kind of a lack of protein in a lot of things. And to be able to put like, carnitas in a crock pot or something like that, that you can have some good protein in there, gonna have a little bit of fat in it, but I mean, as long as you're smart in other places, like people are gonna love that. People are gonna love that you brought that. It's not gonna feel super healthy, but especially if you've cooked it yourself, you know what's in it, and it's a kind of a sneaky way to really contribute something that doesn't look like just a plate of vegetables, but it's something that everyone's gonna really enjoy. Another tip I had for like just drinks, and this is kind of unrelated, but a lot of times when we've gone to happy hours and stuff like this, I've actually picked this up from other people, is people just go straight in and will get like a glass of water with lime or get club soda with lime right off the bat, and it looks like they're drinking, and they actually kind of feel like they have something different. You know, if you're at home and you're at a party, I mean, I like doing Moscow mules. I love doing that. So no one knows how much vodka I put in it. I can't taste the vodka anyways. So if I decide to put in a little bit of vodka and a little bit of ginger in there versus a lot of it, that makes a big difference. I could have 2 or 3 drinks with like a splash of vodka, a splash of ginger in there, mostly lime LaCroix, which is my other secret. But people don't know, and I'm mainly just drinking lime LaCroix the whole night with, you know, you can up those ratios. So what you choose in terms of drinks, or maybe alternating drinks with water and the drink you really want, all those things can really add up to less hangover, being able to have more fun and be proactive, so you're not like sitting there with no drink in your hand and then you feel like people are bombarding you with questions all the time.
Mm-hmm. One of Steve's favorite things, and at first I was like, you don't even like to drink a lot, but then I realized where he's coming. Number one, to save the calories, because it's so easy to drink like a whiskey Coke, a whiskey ginger, something like super sweet. It like tones out that like bite of the whiskey, even if it's a really good whiskey. But he'll drink like a nice whiskey on the rocks. But it has to sit because it's super strong, it's straight whiskey, so it waters down, he slow sips it, and then he'll hang out with one drink for the majority of the night, and then it's, you know, because if it's got the sugar, you're like, yeah, it's gone, let me get another one. And because at first I was like, whoa, I'm like, you can't drink that, you have no tolerance, but he literally will make it last for, you know, 2 hours. So it's like you still get to be social, have your drink, enjoy, but you're not just like pounding down too much alcohol, number one, and too many, you know, carbs and sugar, so.
Yeah, I hate to say never drink something or something should be completely off limits, but those sugary drinks like can get so bad. I mean,
that's the worst about going out, is those really yummy, appealing cocktails on the specialty drink menus. They look so good, but they're super deceiving with how much sugar you're just drinking, straight sugar carbs. Yeah. Even though they taste great and, you know, it's fun, but that's where you can make the biggest difference of going out. And I'm gonna do one more killer for all you people. And I know Papi Chulo's just open, but skinny margaritas are not your best friend, because all they do, instead of putting a sugary sour mix, they just put a bunch of agave. And I don't know, it's just like honey, sugar. It's like 16 grams of carb per tablespoon. And there's probably at least 2, if not more, tablespoons per drink that they shake up in there with lime juice to make it taste like a margarita. But in return, you might sometimes be just as good off having that one margarita and cheating and drinking the real thing, because either way, you're still gonna drink all the sugar, so.
One thing I used to do when I would go out is I would just get like vodka water and then bring my own Mio. Like the little liquid Crystal Light things or whatever. That was what I used to do when I would drink out, and then I would at least avoid all the extra sugar. So, and there's a million flavors. Peach mango. It's really good.
Shout out.
Shout out to peach mango.
What about like, I mean, maybe this is off the scope of this podcast, but like we're heading up in a few weeks to visit family in New Jersey. I'm gonna be there for multiple days at a time. Like that's kind of beyond just maybe a one-off social situation. You know, maybe you're renting a house with some friends and it's like days after days after days. I mean, one of the things that I'm gonna do when we get there is like airport, Whole Foods, house. Like we're gonna come with, one, we're gonna eat at Whole Foods, so we're already full when we show up. But then, you know, 2, we've brought in some like stuff that we have, shopping beforehand. Do you guys have any other tricks that you can think about with like family or extended holidays, or, you know, different scenarios?
Yeah, I'd say when you do that, like bringing in stuff to cover breakfast and lunch, right? Because like a lot of times the dinner's sacred. You know, grandma's cooked that dinner for you, and she doesn't want you to be like, yeah, you brought in Brussels sprouts, like what the heck? Like, so just bring in, you know, to, again, if you're having 5 meals in a day, make sure 4 of them are great, that you prepared for and you planned, and that, and you're not offending grandma because you're still eating her dinner. And, but you've got the morning and lunch set, and if they ask, it's like, this is my routine, this is what I always have, this is what I feel great eating.
And portions.
Yeah, you can buy like literally anything pre-portioned out and already cooked. So you don't have to cook, you don't have to bring your scale if you don't want. Like you can buy individual servings of literally everything these days, and it doesn't like look weird with you and your scale, or like feeling like you're a burden trying to cook in someone else's house or something like that, because you can literally get everything already done for you.
Yeah, you did that when you stayed with us
Yeah.
for the recruiting trip.
I got really lucky.
You had like 8 things in a microwave bag, like you had it all set up.
You probably panicked. I like walked in with like 10 Polish bags full of all the veggies. And you can take anything through TSA. Like I prepared just in case with like all these tuna packets and individual servings of almonds just in case. And then I was
girl,
like,
that
I'll just
smells
eat in
like
the bathroom real quick so I don't look weird or whatever. But you can literally take anything that's not a liquid through TSA and pack your food and move all the way across the country and not have to leave your plan.
Cool. Did you guys have anything else? I think this would be a short one.
Let's see.
I think that was all I had. All right, well, if we think of anything else, it'll be another podcast. Thanks for joining us, guys. Talk to you soon.